Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I am going to be doing another tutorial. It's going to be a two-piece set with like a boxy shirt like this with the matching shorties that look like this. This is perfect for spring. You know, it's still that thicker material. I made this out of a sweatshirt, but it also is not going to be too hot because they're shorts and a shirt. Okay, so it's gonna be an upcycle video. Like I said, I made this out of a sweatshirt. There's gonna be two parts to it because it's two different patterns. I actually already have a tutorial for the shorts made, so I'm gonna show you how to cut the shorts out using the sweatshirt, and then after you've cut it out, then you can go back to that other video that I've already made that I'll link here in the description, then you can follow the tutorial through that video. If you're not familiar with working with patterns, that's okay. Go check out my video that talks about working with patterns so you can get kind of familiar with how to use the patterns, how to cut them, and all that, so that you're not lost in this part. Okay, but before we get started, I have a huge favor to ask you. I am currently in a contest. It's called DIY Hero, and it's basically a bunch of great people that make amazing things, and the prize is being featured in a magazine and getting some money, and I would just love to take that money so I can continue to do these videos and maybe do some lessons or some kind of a workshop. That would be so fun. So please, 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 if you enjoy these tutorials, go vote for me. It's linked in my bio or in the description of this video. All right, let's get started. Okay, like always with everything, before you cut any of your items out, you want to lay it out and see where it's going to land. As you can see here, my neckline is kind of cutting into the Nike words, so I'm going to bring up that neckline a little bit. But if you're not comfortable doing that, just make sure that you're getting a design that is going to be centered with the way you want it to be and not cutting into that neckline. And now that you know where you want things, you'll start cutting. I'm going to use my electrical scissors here that I will link in the description if you want to grab. I'm just going to start cutting up the seams. Okay, so once everything's cut up, you should have your cuffs, your waistband, your two sleeves that you've cut up, and then your front and your back pieces. So now you're ready to cut out your pattern pieces. So I went ahead and unstitched this neckband here because I needed just a little bit more room for my pattern piece. If you ever need just a little bit more room when you're cutting out your patterns, you can go ahead and unstitch, and it will give you about a ½ inch extra, which is sometimes just the amount you need to be able to cut out that pattern piece. Okay, so once that's done, you'll just go ahead and start cutting out your pattern pieces. And then once you cut out your front, you'll do your back piece. So just make sure that you're not cutting over seams like these. Sometimes I will cut over seams if I need to, but in this case I don't need to, so I'm going to avoid those seams. Also, I'd just like to mention that for this pattern, I'm going to be cutting this top line here, which is the part that says it's for a waistband, and then the bottom part here is for the shirt. But I'm going to be cutting this top part just because I like it that way. It gives it more of a boxy t-shirt look, but you can do whatever one you want to. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out the neckband. I'm going to be using the waistband from the original sweatshirt. As you can see here, I'm going to have plenty of room. Especially since this is double layered. When I open it up, I'll have plenty of room. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this open using my electrical scissors. Just cut it right open. Okay, once I've cut enough, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to lay it over my pattern. Then I'll just go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so now I have my neckband ready to go. Okay, so now we're going to cut out our sleeves. So these are just squares or rectangles that you'll cut out. So I'm just cutting this out using the leftover fabric that I have from the front and back pieces of the sweatshirt. So here's one, and now I'll just cut out another. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to cut out my short pieces, and I'm using the sleeves of this original sweatshirt to cut out my shorts. So as you can see, I'm trying to maximize the fabric as much as I can. It's kind of like playing a little game of Tetris where you kind of just figure out where it will fit best. So I like it here. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so once you've cut out your first piece, you're going to need to cut an opposite of that same piece. So what I like to do is I like to grab the piece I just cut out and lay it on top of the fabric with the right sides of the fabric together. This way it ensures me that I know I'm cutting it out correctly, because sometimes I'll forget to flip over my fabric and then I won't cut out correctly. And when you're upcycling, you don't have a lot of fabric to work with. So if you cut it out incorrectly, you might not have extra to cut out the right pieces. So like I said, I'm laying it on top and I'm cutting it out with the right sides of the fabric together. Okay, so now that you've cut out these two opposites, you'll have your two back pieces. And now we are just going to cut out the two front pieces. So again, grab your other sleeve and position it where you're maximizing your fabric and cut. Okay, so once that's done, another way to do it is, since you cut your fabric with your right side facing up, now you're going to flip your fabric around and you're going to cut it with your right side facing down, and this will also give you two opposites. Like I said, sometimes I forget to fit my fabric and I cut it out incorrectly, so it's up to you however you want to decide to do it. Okay, so now we have our two front pieces cut out, and now we'll just need to cut out our cuffs, our leg cuffs. So I'm going to use the rest of the waistband to cut out those cuffs. Okay, so I'm going to use the rest of my waistband to cut out my leg cuffs. So as you can see, this waistband is 2 layers, so I'll have plenty of fabric to cut out those leg bands. If I didn't, I would just unstitch this here to give me a little bit more of that fabric to make it work. But in this case, I don't need to, so I'm just going to cut it open. Okay, once that's cut, I'm going to fold it open, lay it flat, and cut out those two pieces. Okay, so now I have both of my leg cuffs cut open, and now we're ready to sew. Okay, sorry my camera wasn't recording, but the very first step is going to be to lay your front and back pieces together with right sides together, and then you're gonna just sew those two shoulder seams up here. Once those two are sewn together, you're going to open it up and lay it out, and we're going to add our sleeves. So grab your sleeves and you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to start clipping that half. Okay, so now we are going to add this to our sleeve here. But first we want to find the middle. So fold that in half and mark that middle of the sleeve. Once you have that middle, you're going to add it to that shoulder seam. Clip it there and then clip those edges together. Okay, now you can add just a few more clips here just to make sure that it's nice and easy when you're sewing. Okay, once that's added, you are going to do the very same thing to the other sleeve. Okay, so now that you've gotten both your sleeves clipped together, you are just going to sew across both of these. You can use your regular sewing machine. I will be using my serger for this. So just make sure that all of those layers, you're going to have 3 layers, make sure all 3 layers are lined up right on top of each other so you are sewing all of those together. Okay, so now that you've gotten those sleeves on, you're going to grab the front or back, fold it over, and start to line up those sides. At the edges, start clipping them. And your sleeves. Okay, so once that's done, you're going to sew across both of these sides. Okay, so now that you're done, you are going to add your neckband. So grab your neckband and you're going to fold it in half. And you're going to clip it. And you're going to sew across. Once that's done, you are going to take it and you're going to fold it in half with the wrong sides of the fabric together and clip. Okay, now you're just going to go around and clip it in half. Okay, so once all that is clipped together, you're going to find your seam here and you're going to lay this flat and you're going to adjust so that those two are right on the sides. And then you're going to bring them to the middle and you are going to adjust your other 2 sides to make them right on those sides. So that will give you 4 equal corners of this neckband. So now what you'll do is you're going to add it to your shirt here. So first start off with that seam and you're going to clip that to the back of your shirt here. Just right in the middle of the back. Clip and then find that middle front and clip it. Okay, so now that you have your front and back pieces clipped, you're going to grab both of those front and back pieces and you're going to stretch. So you're going to give it a good stretch until those sides line up. And then you're going to move your fingers in and you're going to clip it in the middle. So again, grab the front and the back pieces, pull, line everything up, and then walk those fingers in and then clip that middle. So it will look a little like this so far, and now we'll just add some more clips. So grab 2 right next to each other, 2 clips right next to each other, pull and clip. Again, grab 2. As you can see here, it's a little bit off. You pull and adjust and add clips. Okay, so once that's done, it will look a little like this. And now we're just going to sew all the way around, pulling as we go. Okay, so first, remove one of the clips and add that to your sewing machine and start sewing. Okay, so the trick here is to go slow and adjust frequently. So I'm making sure that I'm grabbing all of my layers. As you can see, this one's a little bigger than my neckband. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a slight tug, making sure all those layers are right on top of each other. Slight tug, and sew. Again, adjust those layers, slight tug, and sew. It has to be a slight tug and not too much of a tug and not too less of a tug. It's just enough so that everything lines up evenly. Okay, so now that we have the neckband on, it will be looking a little like this. So now the only thing left is to hem the bottom. So there's a few ways to hem the bottom. I usually just use my cover stitch, but because I don't have a matching thread, I'm going to do a different way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sort of serge the bottom here, and then after I've done serging it, I'm going to flip it and sew. Okay, but first things first, let's go ahead and serge the bottom of this shirt. If you don't have a serger machine, that's okay, because you can use either a zigzag stitch or any kind of finishing stitch with your regular machine. Okay, so now that that's serged, what I'm going to do is I am going to fold up that edge with the wrong sides of the fabric together. So I'm going to grab my seam gauge here, and I'm just going to fold it up about 1/2 inch. Okay, so now that I have it all folded up, I'm going to sew just a straight stitch all the way around. Okay, so now you have your hem done and it look like this, and now your top is complete. And now that your top is done, you'll head over to the shorties tutorial that I have linked here to finish the bottom. And after you're done with those, it will look like this. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll see you next time.